Hello everyone and welcome to my Beyond the Gates CBS Update 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Monday in Fairmont Crest does not arrive quietly. It never does. On Beyond the Gates, peace is temporary, trust is expensive, and secrets have a habit of bleeding into the open at the worst possible moment. This episode is built on panic, suspicion, and choices that cannot be undone. Ashley finds herself standing over a wounded Grayson with blood on her hands and no safe option left. Jacob realizes the plasma ring operation is spinning out of control faster than he can contain it. Smitty refuses to step back even as the danger becomes impossible to deny. Tomas pushes deeper into Lynette's suspicious trail and starts seeing just how closely Hayley may be tied to everything. Naomi's patience with Hayley is running out. Bill is getting closer to truths he may not be ready to face. And somewhere in the middle of all of it, Leah makes another move that reminds everyone involved that the real power players are always watching. Nothing about Monday is small. Nothing is casual. By the end of the day, relationships will be tested, loyalties will be questioned, and at least one person may realize far too late that they were never in control at all. Ashley Morgan thought she was preparing for a simple night. That alone should have been the first warning. She had spent the day trying to push through the usual Fairmont Crest chaos, hospital drama, emotional exhaustion, her mother's constant opinions, and the ongoing stress of navigating a relationship with Grayson Perez while everyone around her seemed determined to wave red flags in her face. She wanted one quiet evening. Just dinner, just time together. Something normal. She cooked. She prepared. She tried to believe normal still existed. Then Grayson showed up at her door looking like death. The second she opened it, she knew this was no ordinary problem. His face had gone pale, his movements were unsteady, and there was blood. Too much blood. The kind of blood that makes the room go silent for a second because your brain needs time to process how bad things really are. He had been stabbed. Not cut. Not injured. Stabbed. The horror of it hit Ashley instantly, but the professional part of her took over first. Nurse before girlfriend. A stabilize first, panic later. She got him inside, locked the door, started assessing the damage. But before she could fully take control, Grayson started making demands. No hospital, no police, no ambulance, no questions. Ashley stared at him like he had lost his mind. Because maybe he had. A stab wound is not something you bandage in a bathroom and hope for the best. It is not something you hide under a towel while pretending life can continue. It is an emergency. It is danger. It is potentially fatal. But Grayson was terrified. Not dramatic, not exaggerating, truly terrified. That fear told Ashley more than his words did. This wasn't a random mugging. This wasn't some accident he was embarrassed about. This was connected to something bigger, darker, and far more dangerous than she had allowed herself to fully believe. Derek had warned her. He had warned her over and over. He called Grayson sketchy. He said the man was hiding something. Or as he said Ashley was walking into trouble. She accused him of jealousy, bitterness, and refusing to move on. Maybe some of that was true, but now, standing in her apartment with blood soaking through towels, Ashley could not ignore the possibility that Derek had been right about the most important part. Grayson was in serious trouble. And now, so was she. At first, Grayson tried to stay vague. He gave her half-truths. He said he got mixed up with the wrong people. He said it started because he needed money. He said his mother's health, the bills, the pressure, it all became too much. Ashley listened while trying to stop the bleeding, but she wasn't interested in soft excuses. She wanted the truth. He finally gave enough of it to make her stomach turn. The hospital, the deliveries, the plasma ring, the quiet criminal network moving through Garland Memorial like it belonged there. He had gotten involved because he thought it would be temporary. Just enough money to help. Just enough to survive. But temporary corruption has a way of becoming permanent captivity. Once you are useful to dangerous people, leaving is not an option they like to offer. Now someone wanted to make an example out of him. Fren had done exactly that. Ashley felt sick. She wasn't just helping an injured boyfriend. She was now standing in the center of an active criminal operation tied directly to her workplace, her professional world, and people dangerous enough to stab a man in a stairwell for stepping out of line. She looked at Grayson and realized the relationship they had been building was standing on top of lies she never agreed to carry. And then Jan showed up. Of course she did. If timing were a weapon, Jan would be undefeated. Ashley heard the knock and nearly stopped breathing. Her mother had a supernatural talent for arriving exactly when disaster was least convenient. She tried to block the door, tried to rush her out before questions started, but Jan was already suspicious. Ashley was sweating, distracted, clearly hiding something. Jan noticed immediately. Then she noticed the blood. That was it. The entire mood changed. Jan pushed past excuses and started asking real questions. Was Ashley hurt? Was someone else inside? What was happening? Ashley practically shoved her mother toward the exit, trying to contain the situation before it exploded completely. But Jan has never been a woman easily dismissed. Her instincts kicked in fast, and every second Ashley stalled only made her more certain. Something was wrong. If Jan discovered Grayson inside, wounded, bleeding, tied to criminal activity, it would be war. Because Jan had never trusted him. She preferred Derek. She trusted Derek. She thought Grayson arrived too fast, too mysteriously, and with too much baggage. Ashley defended him every time. If Jan learned the full truth now, she would never let it go. Ashley finally managed to get her mother out, but only barely. And the relief lasted about 3 seconds because Grayson was getting worse. He was weaker now. His breathing had changed. His color was fading. Ashley knew what that meant. She could keep honoring his request and risk watching him die on her bathroom floor. Or she could betray his trust, call for real medical help, and potentially hand him over to the very system he was trying to escape. Neither choice felt survivable. Across town, Jacob Hawthorne was having his own version of hell. As Rashad, he had spent weeks balancing undercover work inside the plasma ring operation while trying to keep his real life from collapsing around him. He told himself he could manage it. He told Naomi he had it under control. He told Smitty to trust him. But the truth was simpler. He was losing control. Ren roughing him up had already shaken him badly. That wasn't just intimidation. It was suspicion. It meant people were watching him more closely. It meant the wrong move could end everything. Then Grayson got stabbed. That changed the stakes completely. Because violence like that sends a message. It tells everyone inside the system exactly what happens when trust breaks down. Jacob understood immediately. If Grayson was punished, then Jacob was not far behind. He needed information. Fast. He reached out to Smitty. His husband had been treating this investigation like the biggest story of his career. Smitty believed exposure mattered more than fear. He wanted names, proof, accountability. Jacob admired that about him and hated it at the same time. Because idealism gets dangerous when the people you're investigating stab first and ask questions never. Jacob told him the truth as bluntly as possible. This is worse now. Someone got stabbed. Grayson may be missing. You need to understand how real this is. Smitty heard the panic in his voice. That mattered, because Jacob did not panic easily. Smitty agreed to move, heading toward the hospital with every warning Jacob had ever given him ringing louder than usual. At Garland Memorial, everything felt wrong. The building looked the same. Bright halls, routine noise, controlled professionalism. But Smitty knew better now. He walked those corridors understanding that underneath the surface something rotten was thriving. He tried to find Grayson. Nothing. No patient, no clear trail, no safe answers. Every dead end made the fear worse. And then Leah walked by. That single moment was enough to send adrenaline straight through him. Because Leah never just walked by. She observed, she calculated, she remembered. Did she hear something? Did she notice the urgency? Did she connect him to Jacob in a way that would destroy everything? Smitty tried to stay calm, but paranoia is hard to suppress when your husband is undercover in a criminal ring and a lab tech just got stabbed for being inconvenient. He called Jacob. No Grayson. No answers, only more reasons to be afraid. Jacob felt the pressure closing around him. If Grayson missed his next delivery, people would ask why. If he talked, people would ask to whom. If Ren decided Rashad was too curious, Jacob might not get another warning. This was no longer just a case. It was survival. And still, Smitty wanted to keep pushing. That terrified Jacob almost as much as Ren did. Meanwhile, Tomas was following a trail that smelled like expensive lies. Lynette may have vanished physically, but the woman was still causing damage from a distance. Bill had enough suspicion to set Tomas loose on her history, and Tomas was good at finding cracks people thought were invisible. He found one. Vanessa, specifically Vanessa helping Lynette search for a penthouse. That detail changed everything. People preparing to disappear quietly do not casually browse luxury real estate unless they are building something bigger. A penthouse was not survival. A penthouse was strategy. Tomas knew Lynette was not random chaos. She was intentional. Every move meant something. If she was planning that kind of upgrade, then either she had money nobody knew about or someone was helping fund the next phase of her game. That someone might be Hayley. And if that connection proved real, Bill's marriage was standing on top of a landmine. Tomas went straight to Vanessa. She was smart enough to notice the difference between friendly conversation and strategic questioning. So subtlety mattered. He approached carefully, trying charm before confrontation. He asked about real estate, about clients, about strange requests. Vanessa did not give much away at first. She never does. But there were tells, the pause, the look, the way she measured her words when Lynette's name entered the room. Tomas knew he was close. Then Danny walked in and destroyed all subtlety like it owed her money. She took one look at the energy in the room and immediately demanded answers. What is happening here? Why does this feel shady? Why is Vanessa involved? Danny has no patience for mystery when it affects people she cares about, and lately everything connected to Bill and Hayley has felt suspicious. Tomas tried to keep things smooth. Vanessa tried to stay neutral. Danny made neutrality impossible. Because once Danny starts asking questions, the room belongs to her. And frankly, she was not wrong. There was too much smoke around Hayley for there not to be fire. Speaking of Hayley, Naomi's patience with her had finally reached near zero. She never trusted her. Not really. From the beginning, Hayley felt like someone performing innocence rather than living it. Too polished when convenient. Too helpless when accountability showed up. Too ready with tears and excuses. Bill called her misunderstood. Naomi called that denial. Now the cracks were getting harder to ignore. Lynette. The weird money movement, the constant emotional manipulation, the way every scandal somehow passed over Hayley while leaving everyone else cleaning up the mess. Naomi was tired. Not just of Hayley, but of Bill defending her like suspicion itself was some kind of betrayal. At what point does love become willful blindness? Chelsea had already started applying pressure, questioning Bill directly, refusing to pretend everything was normal. Naomi found herself agreeing more and more, because if Bill would not look harder at his own marriage, someone else would have to force the issue. And Naomi was getting very close to volunteering, especially when Bill's health remained part of the conversation. She had seen too much strange behavior to believe coincidence forever. Hayley always seemed to be standing nearest the problem while somehow staying clean. That kind of luck usually has help. Elsewhere, Leah was preparing another move. And when Leah moves, people should worry. She does not make empty threats. She does not posture for effect. She protects interests, and she protects them ruthlessly. If spoilers promised another threat from her, it meant someone had stepped too close to something important. Maybe Jacob. Maybe Smitty. Maybe Grayson. Maybe all three. The terrifying part was not knowing. Uncertainty is often more powerful than direct violence because it forces everyone to imagine the worst version for themselves. Jacob felt it. Smitty felt it. Even Grayson, bleeding in Ashley's apartment, was living proof of it. Back at Ashley's place, the silence between panic attacks had become unbearable. She tried to focus on practical things. Pressure, bandages, breathing, stay conscious, but the emotional truth kept pushing through. She did not know who Grayson really was anymore. Or she cared about him. That part was real. But love becomes complicated when the person you love arrives bleeding from a criminal conspiracy and asks you to protect lies you never agreed to carry. She wanted to scream at him. She wanted to save him. She wanted both. Grayson apologized. Not dramatically. Quietly. He said he regretted showing up there. He said he had nowhere else to go, and somehow that hurt more, because it meant that in the worst moment of his life, Ashley was still the place he trusted most. That trust felt heavy. She looked at him and realized this decision would define more than the relationship. It would define who she believed herself to be. Does she protect the law, or the person in front of her? Does she stay professionally clean, or morally human? There are moments in soap operas where characters cross lines and can never honestly walk back. This was one of them. Ashley could feel it. Across the city, Bill was beginning to feel something too: suspicion. Not certainty, not proof, but the slow, uncomfortable awareness that pieces were not fitting together. Lynette still bothered him. The financial inconsistencies bothered him. Hayley's explanations kept working just enough to avoid immediate confrontation, but not enough to create peace. And once doubt enters a marriage, it rarely stays politely contained. He loved Hayley, or at least loved the version of her he believed in. But belief gets harder when every road leads back to another question. Tomas digging into Lynette would eventually produce something. Bill knew that. Maybe that was why the waiting felt worse. Because once the truth arrives, you lose the right to claim you didn't know. Hayley, meanwhile, still believed she could stay ahead of consequences. That confidence may have been her biggest weakness. She was good at recovery, good at redirection, good at weaponizing emotion when logic became dangerous. She had talked herself out of accusations before. She believed she could do it again. But Fairmont Crest has a pattern. People who think they are untouchable usually learn otherwise in public. Monday felt like the beginning of that lesson. And somewhere beneath all of this, Vernon watched the younger generation making familiar mistakes. He had lived long enough to understand that danger rarely announces itself with dramatic music. It arrives quietly, in choices, in silence, in the people you decide to trust: the plasma ring, Joey, Martin's ambitions, Hayley's manipulations. Everything connected, everything mattered, and everyone kept acting like they had more time than they actually did. That illusion never lasts. By the time night settled over Fairmont Crest, nobody felt safe. Ashley was still standing at the edge of a decision she could not delay much longer. Jacob was trying to protect both his investigation and his marriage from forces capable of destroying both. Smitty was realizing journalism sounds noble until blood is involved. Tomas was closing in on truths that could wreck Bill's entire life. Naomi was done pretending. Hayley deserved endless benefit of the doubt. Leah was still watching. And Grayson, if Ashley waited too long, might not survive long enough for any of it to matter. Monday was not just another episode. It was the kind of day that changes the emotional math for everyone involved. Because once blood is on the floor, nobody gets to pretend the danger was theoretical anymore. Once suspicion becomes evidence, marriages stop being safe. Once loyalty requires lying, love stops being simple. And once Fairmont Crest decides to collect its debts, it never accepts partial payment. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe my channel without missing any update.